Hello. Yeah, I just did. No?
Just waiting for council to make it in. I don't see Councilwoman Alameen. I don't see Councilwoman.
I'm here.
Okay, I didn't see your name wasn't with, oh, you're on a different line, Councilwoman Alameen?
No, I'm on my laptop.
For some reason, it's not showing that you're on, but I know you are because I'm talking to you. Mr. Folks, are you with us? There he is. Councilperson Graves? Councilwoman Hunt? Yes, she's here.
She's on. I see her name.
I do too. I just don't see Councilperson Graves.
I'm here.
I see you, Mr. Folks.
I do not see Councilperson Graves.
Took me a while.
Okay, so we're gonna move around here, get started, as we are coming in a little late. And please forgive us for being late. We were addressing some matters. However, could I get someone to open us up in prayer so we can get started?
I'll do that. Let's pray.
Thank you.
Dear God, we come to you, first of all, just thanking you for your loving kindness, thanking you for your mercies, thanking you for allowing us to see another day. Now, God, we ask that you be with us on this evening. Please allow us to conduct business as it be pleasing to you, as well as productive for our city. We pray for each individual that's here. We pray for our city government and our staff. These blessings we ask in your name and through your son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Keep your flag.
Madam President, if you want to lead us off.
I pledge allegiance
The
To the
flag
to the
flag
flag of
of
the
the United States of America, and to the republic
Republic which
Which
is
which
stands
stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
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 and justice
and
for all.
justice for all. Yes. Okay, as I was saying earlier, we're coming out of executive session where we were discussing personnel, real estate, and legal matters. And at this time, I will ask for a motion to approve our minutes from February 8th.
I'll make
I'll
that
make that
motion.
motion. I'll second.
Questions or comments? Full council, please.
I think Councilman Simpson is not joining us this evening.
No, I'm sorry. Please make that a matter of record.
All right, thank you. Councilman Folks,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt,
yes.
Councilwoman Alameda,
Yes.
Councilperson Curtis,
Yes.
Councilwoman Green,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender Norris.
Yes.
Thank you. So carries.
Can I get a motion for approval of our accounts payables?
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Pope, Ms. Green? Questions or comments?
I just have a question for the chief. So on page 19 of 35, the officer armor and the point blank concealable armors, how often are those bought, chief?
They are for the new officer hires. So by contract, we supply them with a complete uniform when they're promoted to full-time. So that includes a ballistic vest, or a bulletproof vest. So that's what those expenses are. And
So
they are
they were for
budgeted, they're
the
budgeted in our capital budget.
They were for the 3 part-times that went to full-time?
Yes, yep.
So they each get officer armor and they each get a point blank concealable armor?
I think they're the same thing. They were just ordered through different companies. The one was back ordered for several, probably about 4 months. That was, I believe, the Atlantic Tactical one. And then we got a better price through Whitmer Public Safety for the other two. That's why you see the 2,700 figure for the other two. So that
Okay,
totals
well,
three
for the
separate
20
vests.
For the 2,700, it's showing that 3 were ordered. And on the
Yeah, the Atlantic Tactical was a single vest that was ordered, I want to say back in like August or September. That was for Officer Marvel, who was promoted to replace Kevin Campbell back in June. Then the other three were ordered through Whitmer Public Safety, and they were for the three promotions that we made this fall and in January.
Okay,
Yep,
that's the only question I have. Thank you.
that's it.
I have a question. On page 10, we have an additional $2,249 in right to know. Is this the same, towards the same, right to knows that we had that large expense, 5,000, 7,000 about a month ago?
Yes. Mrs. Green, Councilman Green. Yes, it's related to that. We had to produce a privilege log. Actually, the billing for that was discounted by a factor of almost 8 or 9, down to the amount that was billed, because we had spent so much time on it. We're trying to make it reasonably affordable for the city, but we still had to produce a document that was about 30 pages in length, not 8 or 11 by 16 paper, setting forth all the documents that had to be redacted out of the 7,000 pages. Now, we had been working on that, but we had to go through it again and go through all the documents. But again, we did discount that by nearly a factor of 9 in order to reduce the expense to the city.
Now, we're now up to almost $10,000. Is there more for this?
There should not be unless the requester files a challenge to any of the redactions that were outlined in the privilege log.
It's crazy. That's almost $10,000 a lot.
Right.
Yeah, and our residents need to know and be aware of the costs like this, the drips out of our buckets, so to speak, because the right to knows are mounting up in cost. And it isn't for the city to have a right to know, it's right to know requests that are being submitted. And we as residents are incurring the cost. So please be mindful of how you say you want to make sure we're being fiscally responsible. Just keep your eye out on what's going on with regard to these right to knows, because they are mounting, as I was saying.
Mr. Verway, I have a quick
Yes.
question for you.
Yes.
So as far as this particular right to know that we're talking about, that is now almost at $10,000, it isn't because any particular resident or any council member put in a right to know. This is a matter that's addressing a legal situation right now, right?
Well, this isn't discovery in the case that's pending in federal court. This is a right to know request, which is a separate and distinct action. This was filed by the owner of a property. Well, technically the attorney for former owner of a property in the city. And it's strictly under the right to know law. Now, a lot of folks use the right to know law to get discovery instead of going through the courts because it's a little easier and often more cost effective. But I don't know what the motivation was in this case, but they made the request for this. So all this is born out of the right to know law and not the separate civil litigation.
So help me understand why, as the city, we have to pay for this when it's an individual that's requesting this information. Shouldn't that be a part of their expenses to be able to obtain the information that they need?
The law only permits a per page charge of 25 cents, and then only if it is subject to what's called a secured redaction. Otherwise, if it's an electronic format, it's supposed to be produced in electronic format. We had to print these out to redact them. So we did initially charge the fee for the copies, but that was not as substantial as the overall legal bills. All the legal expenses just incurred in responding to and resolving the privilege issues within the documents.
I'm looking at legal matters. I'm seeing expenses for legal matters everywhere. If you go back on page 9 at the bottom, we have $3,599 for Durant and Campbell. And then you flip over to 10 out of 35. We have a $3,995.50 general legal matters. That's under Gawthorpe and Greenwood PC. So what are all these for?
Well, Durant is a different firm. They're generally your labor and personnel counsel. So you would have to speak to them about their work. For the Gawthorpe firm, we actually provided an itemized listing of our billings, and they are provided separately because some of that information is privileged. I believe that's provided to you in a separate packet. If you have specific questions regarding those individual items, but that outlines the work that has been done on behalf of the city. We also break down our expenses into different categories, or our billing into separate categories, so the city knows what particular area that money is going for. So for example, right to know requests are billed separately, so you know how much is going to a specific right to know matter. If there's a particular piece of litigation or a code enforcement issue, that's broken out as a separate billing matter, so council can see how exactly that those funds are being expended for legal services.
Very good tracking.
That's my only question.
Mr.
Any
Berger.
other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Tony,
Yes, Councilman
how
Foltz.
many right to knows did we do in the last year?
I honestly, sir, I don't have
Roundabout.
I don't know, because I don't get every right to know request. They go to your right to know officer, which I believe is Miss Mowdy. I only get brought in if there is a specific legal issue that needs to be addressed. If there's some kind of privileged information, or if it's there's a complicated request, for example, for say body cam video for a police officer, that's going to be a different animal in the request. So that's the only time I come in. So I don't know what your total number is. A lot of that time is spent by Miss Mowdy.
Mr. Logan,
Yes,
can you find that out?
yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding accounts payables? Whole council, please.
Councilwoman Green,
Yes.
Councilperson Graves,
Yes.
Councilwoman Alameen, Councilwoman Hunt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Alameen,
Muted.
Sorry, yes.
thank you. Councilman Foltz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender North.
Yes.
6-0 carries.
On to our additions, deletions, and modifications.
Council President Lavender Norris, I would like to make an addition to discussion agenda item 5.2, and that is code 187, the shopping cart ordinance.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm right. I'm paying attention, but I'm writing too. We have 7.3 PennDOT maintenance agreement. And then we have 7.4, the Griffin settlement. Is everyone tracking these?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Councilperson Graves made a motion. Could I get a second for the addition, deletion?
I second that.
Are we clear? Questions or comments? Full council, please.
Councilman Foltz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Alameen,
Yes.
Councilperson Graves,
Yes.
Councilwoman Green,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender Norris.
Yes.
6-0 carries. Thank you.
On to our presentations. Trina Solar presentation.
Of this
Hi.
evening,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to introduce you, Brian. This evening we have representatives from Trina Solar, Brian Ritty, and it looks like Brad Forstein. They're here to share with council a brief presentation on their proposal. They were one of the selected companies for RFP for the solar farm, and they just want to provide a brief introduction of who they are. I'll turn it over to you, Brian.
Great, thanks so much, James. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Actually, Brad, if you'd like to start us off with a high-level introduction. This is Brad Forstein, our Development Director for the U.S. operations of Trina Solar.
Good evening, everyone. As Brian said, I'm Brad Forstein, and I'll start out by saying that I've been working from home for a long time, as most of us have, and I can't tell you that I've worn a plaid-colored dress shirt on a Zoom call before, and I'm realizing that you are not to wear plaid on a checkerboard pattern on a Zoom call. This is the first time I've ever seen that I look like I'm psychedelic here with my shirt, so please forgive me. I wanted to just give you a brief overview of Trina Solar and who we are. And as we're quite a large organization in the solar industry, and to give you just some color around our global footprint and our operations. And then while we are a global company that's over 13,000 employees, we still are very much a local, I'd say like local developer and project company, as Brian and I both, well, Brian lives in Pennsylvania. I live just over the border in New Jersey on the other side of Philadelphia, and have been working in solar in this region for over 14 years. Trina, as a global company, though, as you can see, is we're right now the third largest manufacturer in the solar business and one of the largest global developers as well. We've been around since 1997 and we're publicly traded in Asia, and we've been building projects all around the world. We've actually developed and built and financed over 3 gigawatts of projects, which, to give you some perspective on the size, on what that kind of equates to, 1 gigawatt of power is going to be on about 4,000 acres. So you're talking in the neighborhood of 12,000 acres of solar panels that we've developed around the world in 38 different countries. So and obviously including the U.S. So it's we're a large, stable organization that has been around, one of the oldest tenured in this business, and we don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. So with regards to the development of this project, I just wanted to reassure you that we are, while you're dealing with a global company, you've got local representatives, local approvals, and but with a strong backing to be here through ups and downs. So we provide all different types of solutions all around the world, not just necessarily solar, just dedicated to solar. We also do energy storage solutions. We do microgrids. We have our company has diversified beyond just simple panels into the racking systems and various other technologies that we own and deploy in various situations. And for this for Coatesville and the Mount Airy Road property, which we've I guess conditionally been awarded a lease on, our intent is to develop a solar project, maybe storage at some point, but we don't know yet, depending upon what the Pennsylvania market does over the next year or so. We'll have to make that decision. But yeah, and just so you have some context, myself, I've been in solar development and solar finance for over 13 years now. I've worked with dozens of municipalities, school districts, municipal utility authorities, counties, state governments, as well as, colleges and hospitals. And so all different types of institutional, I guess, energy users, including private, commercial, industrial as well. And have actually, over, I think it's about 14 states that I've done projects in, have completed over $1 billion in solar projects in my time. So I've been doing quite a bit. Someone not on the phone tonight is just Angie Dowd. Angie is our senior project manager, and she'll be handling a lot of the day-to-day development of this project as we go through it, and probably helping to communicate with the township. With the city going forward as we get into more of the details of the development of the site. And then Brian obviously has been on the phone, and Brian has handled a lot of the communication up until this point. And we'll also continue to help to get the lease in place and continue to work on the development of the project with Angie and myself. So all three of us are local, and Angie's in New Jersey as well. So we're within a reasonable distance to Coatesville. We had a typo on this page, but these are just some of the projects. We just figured we'd put a representative list of some of the projects. And I believe this information was also provided in the RFP response. So of just some of the different projects that we've worked on over the years in the immediate region. So there's a lot of different types in this area, including a landfill that was owned by Owens Corning. So something similar to the project that's, a landfill installation, something similar to what we're talking about with the Mount Airy Road property. We're actually also under development right now for a landfill in Sicklerville, New Jersey. And we have another one actually in Pennsville, New Jersey, that we're currently developing, all landfills. So we have a lot of expertise in this area, and happy to be, coming up with a productive reuse of a property that, otherwise would probably remain fallow for another 30 or 40 years. I'm gonna let Brian take over and just give you an idea of some of the timeline and different phases of our development.
Great, thanks, Brett. So what you're seeing is our preliminary development timeline for the Mount Airy Road project, which we typically refer to as the Coatesville landfill, although it's based in Valley Township. And so this is really intended to be a high-level representation of our overall development process. And as many of you know, the development process, whether it's for real estate, solar, wind, it's relatively fluid, and there's about 1,000 items that go into making the development process. So this can shift, and we're constantly staying agile and making sure that we work with the landowner and the stakeholders to make sure that the project proceeds. So we are very motivated to complete each one of our projects as quickly as possible. And what you're seeing here is really an ideal timeline, which goes through the basics phases of development, including due diligence, environmental investigation, including threatened endangered species, cultural resources, etc. We also will be required to do an interconnection application, and we have a number of different options there, but again, trying to move forward through that process as quickly as possible. We, of course, will be designing the facility and engineering it, as well as permitting the overall process. And so that includes all city, county, state, federal permits and land use approvals, of course, with Valley Township in conjunction or in partnership with the city of Coatesville. And once we've gotten through that process, which is typically about a year and a half, we then will construct the system, and we have multiple options for offtake for this, which we will be exploring through the development process.
This project's a little unique, I'm sure, as you're in the sense that, yes, Coatesville owns the property, but being that it's located in a different municipality, all of these activities that Brian's just describing a lot of that will be taking place with Valley Township and not, not with the city of Coatesville. So you will ultimately get the rental benefit associated with the lease, but won't have to go through the land use approval process. Just obviously in support, we would just ask for your support in these applications that we make. And obviously, as the landowner, you'll have to be signing off on some of those applications as we get into it and get through it.
And I'm not sure how many of you in the city council may be familiar with the property, but right now we're showing an overview of the site location map. And there's the primary parcel for the city of Coatesville's landfill is about 80 acres. We are intending to lease the entire property, but we'll most likely only construct on part of it. And our very preliminary conceptual design for the Coatesville landfill you can see on your screen now. The picture on the right here is a zoomed out version of a number of solar arrays. And this is what we think is the rough shape that it will take. Of course, that will require surveying and engineering before a finalized design is decided upon.
As we said, we just wanted to give you a brief overview of kind of who we are and kind of what our thoughts are here and introduce ourselves. And ultimately, this is really an opportunity for anyone to ask questions of our company or of this project, and we're happy to answer and appreciate your time.
Any questions from council? I
don't
have
have
a
any.
question. My one question is this the parcel behind the hotel where you're speaking of now?
That's correct. Yes, it is, Councilman.
That is the vacant landfill location as Brian and Brad mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And this is the address for the official records is 201 South Mount Airy, Valley Township. And our solicitor put together tonight's ordinance for the reading and the approval.
So if there's no further questions or comments from council, Brad and Brian, I thank you for your time, your information, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much, Councilman.
Thank you very much. And let us know if there's any follow-up. Yep. Happy to answer any questions. Appreciate it. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Okay. On to discussion item. Is there any discussion regarding 5.1, meeting minutes? Seeing as there's none, 5.2 is regarding code 187. Ms. Graves, Councilperson Graves, I apologize. It's up to you.
Thank you so much. Let me just pull the code up so I can quickly read it out loud. Just 1 second, I have it. Okay, so this is a in regards to shopping carts, which are defined as those push carts or types which are commonly provided by grocery stores, markets, and other types of stores for the use in public transporting commodities in stores. Incidentally, and from the place outside of the store. So people taking the grocery store carts to their car. Any person who makes use of any shopping cart belonging to or furnished by the owner of the store, market, or shopping center for assembling, moving groceries, foodstuffs, and allied products for the purchase, then shall, after such use, promptly return their cart from where it's taken. Other use made of shopping carts, including the abandonment upon the same upon the streets of the cities, alleys, and other public ways of the city, shall be deemed a nuisance. Any person found guilty of committing such a nuisance shall, upon conviction in summary proceedings, be sentenced to pay a fine of not more than $600 or confinement in the city jail for not more than 90 days, or both such fine or imprisonment. And I wanted to talk about lifting the possibility of fine and imprisonment when it comes to our shopping cart ordinance. If we feel that it's important for folks to not walk around with shopping carts or should not steal shopping carts, that is one thing, but to be held accountable by fine or imprisonment is generally targeted at people who are unhoused, who use shopping carts to transport their belongings most of the time. And we know that like homelessness is a systemic problem. So in the short term, the issue is that somebody is pushing a shopping cart in the city and people, deem it a nuisance. But the long-term solution to an issue like people pushing shopping carts down the city is really addressing systemic drug use, the unhousing, affordable housing, and also trauma and mental health treatment. And so, generally the shopping cart ordinance affects mostly unhoused folks who are probably, because they're unhoused, in survival mode, dealing with trauma from being unhoused. And it's also expensive, right? The more things are criminalized or hold fine or imprisonment charges, the more possibility that people can be in prison, which is an expense and it's the least effective. And then the other thing too about the shopping cart ordinance is that it just violates people's civil rights because we are unsure on how people acquired a shopping cart. Quite frankly, if someone doesn't report, one of their shopping carts missing to the police department, we can't identify how a person came into possession of a shopping cart. So that is just something I wanted to talk about.
Okay. First, the shopping carts, from my understanding and having read 187, the only time the police really get involved is, according to what's written, is when a shopping cart is abandoned. That, at that point, they fine the owner of the cart, not the person in possession of it. So it's not those little carts that you see people pulling around. We're talking literal shopping carts, like in the grocery stores and stuff. And then that's the law in the city. So we can't be a party to or condone someone breaking the law. And
Yes.
why, like, if that's the law when we did have grocery stores in the city and it was necessary then, and we're in the midst of revitalization, then we erase that law off the books, but then we're faced with that problem again. What do we do?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Council President Lavender Norris. So I guess what I'm saying is that the problem only seems like it's a nuisance that people are stealing shopping carts, but the actual problem is that people need shopping carts to transport their things because they are unhoused.
But again, what can we as the city do? Like, we have a situation, and everybody on council, everybody on Zoom is aware of the situation down on Lincoln Highway with the people with the shopping carts. We're all aware of that. With them being located there, there's 3 carts and then the bench with the people sitting on the bench, right? It's dangerous for them to be outside in this kind of weather. And it looks bad for the city because anybody that's passing by sees that, and it looks like a bunch of trash. It may be their belongings, and I'm not saying what they have there isn't the very best. What I'm saying is what it looks like. So we got to be mindful, we got to be careful, and we have to stay within our lanes. You know, we can't just go tell them people, okay, come on, you got to go to the hotel or the house, the rooming house, or anywhere. We can't make them because they're adults.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
We can deal with those shopping carts that are sitting there. How do we deal with them? I'm sorry, excuse me. Like, how do we deal with them? That's fluid. We're moving along with that daily. But we can't just take things off the books because we're concerned about the homeless. We have to be as concerned about the ones that do have a home as we do about the homeless.
Yes.
Well, I think the other part
excuse me, Ms. Green, I'm so sorry. I was just in the middle of a sentence and then you can go right after me. I think that, of course, right, we are representatives of our entire city. People who have a home aren't in the same kind of crisis as people who are homeless. And I'm not saying that that doesn't mean that you don't have a crisis. I mean, we're literally dealing with a global crisis. And so I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that removing people's belongings or the way that they transport their belongings isn't helpful to the situation. We are just city officials, but we know we do have county officials and state officials that we can advocate with. We can use trauma-informed practice. We can consider mental health or possible drug abuse into situations when we're looking at them, because things aren't black and white. They have a ton of nuance. And I think that just the long-term issue isn't that people are outside with the shopping carts, that people are not in a home. And while they are in a transitional period, though it may not be sightly to eyes, you don't want to make it harder for folks who are already in a crisis by taking away their things or their method to transport things while they are working on becoming systemically housed.
I recall you bringing this up before, not specifically the cart, but with the homeless and people having hardships and things. And Councilwoman Green had recommended that you and her get together and go speak with the young lady. I think is it called Connect Points in the library?
It's the resource center, the Maris.
Yes, to see about how you could address these Did that come to fruition? And if so, was there anything that we can utilize with regard to that situation?
Well,
So-
I wanted to say one thing. And I hear Councilperson Graves' heart regarding the shopping carts and with the homeless. However, I do know that our police department has not cited anyone for the shopping carts. I think that if we go through this and we remove ordinances on the book regarding breaking the law, that we are opening up a can of worms where we do have a dollar store. We have another store downtown that utilize shopping carts. So we're giving people the right to take their carts, to take their carts to walk their groceries home and not return them to the store. Because see, that's the crime. The crime is removing the cart from the grocery store. We're not talking about people who use the carts and laundry baskets that they purchase or someone gives them, but we're talking about this ordinance is addressing the shopping carts. We do have a potential grocery store probably coming to the area, from what I understand. And we do have a dollar store and the other store downtown that they do have carts. And I think that we have to look at the whole picture, that if we take this law, this ordinance off the book, you're giving people the right to go to the dollar store, remove that cart from the dollar store and take it home with them because they don't want to carry their groceries. And so I understand, but I do know that the police department has not issued anyone any citations. The chief said he's been here for 9 years and they've never done that. We do understand, and everyone has been so empathetic and sympathetic to the cause of the people that we know that are housed by the public library. And there's so many different people who are offering and trying to help them. And, you know, homelessness is a big issue, but I think that that's a separate issue aside from the shopping cart issue. And I think that if we take that issue, take the shopping cart ordinance off the books, we're doing a disservice to the stores that have to pay for these carts. And we're allowing people, we're now saying, you can take that cart home, you won't get a fine. You can take that cart from that store and you won't get a fine.
But when
Madam President, can I just make a comment?
Sure, 1 second, Chief. I just want to say, once they take the cart away
and abandon
and walk it home, then it's abandoned, and it leaves the public work and the police, when they do their cleanup situation, it leaves the work on them to go collect them, because again, they become unsightly and public works has to go and pick them up. Like, we're not trying to add more work onto an already heavy workload in that department either. We have to be mindful of the cause and effect of our decisions.
Yes, absolutely. I kind of wanted to have a discussion. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Councilperson Graves, 1 second. The chief wanted to say something.
I just wanted to echo Councilwoman Green's comments. We have not cited anybody in the over 8 years, almost 9 years that I've been here. And also just like to make the comment that our ordinance is based upon Title 18, Pennsylvania Crimes Code, Section 6711, which makes it a summary offense under the Crimes Code for removal of shopping carts. And our ordinance pretty much is verbatim the language that's contained in the Crimes Code and how to deal with the theft of shopping carts. And that's what our ordinance is based upon. So even if we were to change our ordinance, it still does not change Title 18 Pennsylvania Crimes Code, which makes it a crime to remove the shopping carts, punishable by $300 fine and 90 days in jail.
Okay, thank you so much, Chief. And so, Chief, is there a way in which we can, move forward with continuing not to charge folks who are unhoused with $600 fines or 90 days in prison for having the shopping carts, as you've been doing for the last 9 years then?
Yeah, I don't see an instance where we would make it a practice or, a habit or policy of enforcing that with regard to our homeless population here in the city.
But taking a shopping cart from a grocery store is a fine.
Illegal.
It's
It's
It
illegal.
is still,
President?
that's correct. It is still technically a crime.
Yeah, Madam President,
Yes.
there's a shopping cart across from me in my alley. It's been there probably 2 months now. And I said, once the snow clears, I'm gonna take it back to the grocery outlet. Now, I'm up here on Fourth, and it's probably between Fourth and Fifth where this shopping cart is. It's been there, and I know somebody brought it from the street up top and put it right there. So I'm gonna pick that cart up once I can get to it because there's all that snow out there. But I got to take it back to grocery outlet because somebody took it from grocery outlet, took their groceries, came all the way up to Fifth Avenue,
Mercy.
and then left the cart in the woods because they didn't want to take it back. Now that's a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
So
If I can just add to that, Councilman Folks. The other thing too, and I just want to make this clear to the public as well. Our police department doesn't go around and they don't stop people that have shopping carts and assume that they actually stole that cart. Our first priority when it comes to our homeless is trying to get them back into shelter.
Yes.
The individuals that everyone is talking about, our police department on numerous occasions have worked with the county. We have placed them in a home. That couple was removed from the home for some of the issues, as you mentioned, Ms. Graves. It could have been health related, mental health related, hygiene related. Could have been things that when we put them in hotels, yes, when we put them in hotels, they are part of the general population like you and I are that are staying in these hotels. And we have been told that sometimes these individuals are either harassing people in the lobby or they're wearing out their welcome. Now, I'm not saying that we should turn our backs on them, but I will say that we try everything that we can possibly within the law to assist some of these individuals. And speaking to Mr. Folks recently, some individuals just don't want our help.
Right.
We house them, we feed them, and they're back on the street the following day. In terms of the carts, the issue I have with the carts is if we do continue to allow people to take the carts, and then we have a population or a community full of carts throughout the city,
Yes.
it's not a good look for the city. Our role is to serve our residents here, the taxpayers, to keep our city clean and preserve the quality of life. And I think what we have to do is we have to strike a balance in this particular case when it comes to our homeless population. But I can assure you, our police department, as I said at the top of my comment, is that they are not stopping homeless people and fining them because they have a shopping cart with them. I mean, unless they actually are seeing those individuals walking off with the cart from the stores, I think that would be a stretch for our police department to even make that connection. And correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, sometimes we don't know where these carts come from.
That is correct, but the way the section, the ordinance and the crimes code is written, simple possession is all that is needed. If you possess a shopping cart that has readily identifiable markings from a store, the simple possession is the crime.
Understood.
Any other comment, Councilperson Graves?
No, I have no other comment. We're tied up by the Pennsylvania Crimes Code, and Chief has already said that, going forward and for the last 9 years, he hasn't cited anybody with a shopping cart. And so that was, or cited any folks who were unhoused with a shopping cart. That was my concern.
Yeah, and just to close the loop on this, if we can, Anthony, what would be the steps that a city would take to take something like this off the books if in fact they could?
This simply would have to take an amending ordinance, actually a repealing ordinance to repeal that section of the city's general laws. The state law would still be enforceable by the police department, but it could be removed by ordinance.
Thank you.
So with it being removed by ordinance by us, we're still accountable to the state law. Whether it's on our books or not, it's still a crime to do so.
That would be correct. It'd still be subject to the criminal laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay. Any other questions or comments or discussion from council? Okay, seeing as there's none, we will move forward to our citizens' hearings for agenda items only. Are there any?
I don't see any. No.
Okay. Thank you. Still need a motion to close?
I'll make that motion.
Councilwoman Green, Councilman Folks, was that right?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Full council, please.
Councilwoman Green,
Yes.
Councilperson Graves,
Yes.
and Amin.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Hunt,
Yes.
thank you. Councilman Folks,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender North.
Yes.
6-0 carried. Thank you.
On to our regular action item 7.1. Receive and consider for first reading and authorization to advertise an ordinance, the city of Coatesville, to lease the city's property located at 201 South Mount Airy Road, Valley Township, the County of Chester, UPI number 38-2-30, to Trina Solar US SBU LLC for purpose of constructing and operating a solar energy generation facility for a 20-year term with options for 2 5-year extensions with an annual rental payment of not less than $62,500 and payment of rents commencing at the start of construction of the solar facility and continuing annually on the anniversary date thereof for the term of the lease. Could I get a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'm sorry, I missed.
Go ahead, Mr. Folks and Miss Almeen and Mr. Folks.
I think I missed it. Somebody's wrestling papers or something, and it's coming through real loud, and I couldn't hear who was speaking. So, are there questions or comments?
I have a question. Do we know when construction would begin?
We do not. There's going to be a due diligence period. There will need to be the potential developer will have to conduct testing on the property. It is a former landfill as part of its due diligence, look at soils, et cetera. Then there's a period for development where they're going to have to go in and get approvals from Valley Township. I think their projected start or their projected finish date is in 2022. So there probably won't be rents being paid any earlier than the end of 2021 or early 2022.
Um, Are there any other questions or comments regarding the 7.1? Poll council, please.
Councilman Folks,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Alameen,
Yes.
Councilperson Graves,
Yes.
Councilwoman Green,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender Norris.
Yes,
6-0 carries. Thank you.
thank you. 7.2, receive and consider a resolution of the Council of the City of Coatesville, Chester County, Pennsylvania, granting the Masjid, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Al-Rahman.
Okay. Masjid Al-Rahman, Inc., an extension of time in which to commence construction on its property located at 711 through 723 Merchant Street, the City of Coatesville, pursuant to the general laws of the City of Coatesville, Section 197-16C.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Madam President, this is a request arising
Thank
out of the city subdivision land development article that requires that the construction begin within 1 year of an approval. The applicant in this case, like many developers and persons trying to do construction, have run into timing issues related to the COVID pandemic, which has precluded folks from having the ability to begin their construction projects. So the applicant is requesting an extension through the end of 2021. Similar relief has already been granted by the zoning hearing board related to this particular project. So it is not an unusual request that is before council this evening.
That was going to be my question regarding the zoning. So that's great.
Any other questions, comments?
I just would like to make a comment before we make this vote. I want to preface the vote by saying I will be voting in this. This is just for the public's record too. I will be voting in this action item. I am a member of this masjid. However, I'm not financially connected to it. So it's ethical for myself and also Khadijah Alami, who's also attends this masjid, to vote in this action item.
Okay. Any other comment?
I just wanted to
Council-
say, I'm here on behalf of the mosque this evening. My name is Jeannie Gerber. Thank you for considering this. As Mr. Veerway summarized, this isn't an unusual request. But I just wanted to let you know that we are just about ready to record the land development plans, and we should be submitting building permit applications in the very near future. So just so you are aware, we're not pushing this off for the indefinite future. We really are hoping to start construction in the spring. Just, you know, peace of mind for you when you're voting on this.
Thank you. Poll council, please.
Councilwoman Green,
Yes.
Councilperson Graves,
Yes.
Councilwoman Alameen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt,
Yes.
Councilman Folks,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender Norris.
Yes,
6-0 carries. Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
May
Thanks
Allah
for-
make it easy
Certainly.
for
Thank
us to
you.
get building.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you very much for your support. God bless.
You're welcome.
Thank you. God bless you also.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. So do we have your permission to drop off?
Yes, sir. No, you gotta stay with us. If we gotta stay, you gotta stay. You're already home.
We enjoyed the conversation, especially the shopping cart. I'm going to work with Sister Graves too on that topic.
Thank you, sir.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much.
Have a blessed night.
You too. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be blessed.
Bye-bye.
7.3, PennDOT maintenance agreement. Either Mr. Logan or Mr. Verway, would you expound for the public's knowledge?
Anthony, you want to?
Yes, this agreement covers about 3.7 miles of PennDOT-owned roads within the city of Coatesville that will be maintained by the city. And for that maintenance, PennDOT will be paying the city a sum certain each month, starting at an amount slightly in excess of $4,000, and then going up each year. The total amount is a little for a 5-year contract, is a little more than $22,000. There are also provisions in this agreement that provide for increases in the event of an extreme winter event or winter conditions over an extended period of time. There may be adjustments made to the amounts paid to the city for that maintenance. But this is really just a reimbursement agreement for maintaining those portions of the city's roads that are owned by PennDOT.
My question.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. Mr. Verway, does that include like fixing the potholes and keeping the roads like paved and stuff like that too?
Well, this is just winter maintenance, a winter maintenance agreement. So
Okay.
it's like snow removal, salting, that kind of thing.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
We have to hire more people.
All right.
Mhm.
Sounds like a plan. Full council, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't get someone who made the motion and second.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. I'm ready to poll.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Councilman Folk,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Alameen,
Yes.
Councilperson Graves,
Yes.
Councilwoman Green,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender Norris.
Yes.
6-0 carries. Thank you.
On to 7.4. Receive and consider a motion to accept the settlement proposal in Griffin versus the City of Coatesville to resolve all claims for a payment of $75,000, of which the city shall be responsible for $25,000, with the balance to be paid by the city's insurer. Could I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? I'll second it. I'm sorry, who was that?
Me, Councilwoman Hunt.
Thank you, Les. Questions or comments?
I have a comment for Mr. Logan or Mr. Verway. Can you expand on this for the public as much as is possible legally?
I think that the agreement, now this matter was handled by the city's insurance council, but my understanding is that this lawsuit involved individual who sued your city police department, and the matter went to a settlement conference with the judge. The individual was represented by counsel, as was the city, and a number was reached, an agreement was reached to resolve all claims for the amount that's set forth in the settlement agreement. That is generally a better way to resolve issues, and it does so in a manner that is not does not create exposure for the city.
Thank you, Mr. Verwin.
Any other comment? Whole council, please.
Councilwoman Green. Councilperson Graves.
Yes.
Councilwoman Green.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman Elamine.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt.
Yes.
Councilman Folks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender Norris.
Yes.
6-0 carries. Thank you.
Hey, can I get a motion to close?
I make that
I'll
motion.
make that motion. I'll second.
Whole council, please.
Councilman Folks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt.
Yes.
Councilwoman Elamine.
Yes.
Councilperson Graves.
Yes.
Councilwoman Green.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender Norris.
Yeah.
6-0 carries. Thank you.
Excuse me. Okay. So we're on to our solicitor's report.
Good evening, Madam President. Since our last meeting, I've worked on real estate matters related to the city's Riverwalk. I've addressed development issues related to the proposed flats development. I've worked on real estate matters related to the city's leasing of city-owned property for the development of a solar farm, which was referenced earlier this evening in item 7.1. I addressed litigation matters related to a proposed settlement. I addressed general land development issues and questions regarding properties within the city. And I addressed issues related to other property owned by the city related to real estate matters. Unless there are any questions, that is my report.
Are there any questions? Very well, Mr. Logan.
Thank you, Madam President. Let's see.
Ooh.
This is going to be a brief report. So starting with the business and economic development side, as you all know, we continue to move forward with several projects here in the city. As I mentioned in the last two reports, this includes 3082 realignment, our streetscape projects from 1st to 3rd Avenue, the old train station and the new train station projects, as well as investor projects. Unfortunately, due to this this weather that we're having, a lot of our projects have been delayed, but we look forward to each of those projects getting right back onto a schedule where by the springtime, late spring, a lot of these projects will be completed. With this snow, many of you probably have experienced some potholes. We are working with our Public Works Department as well as PennDOT to get to these potholes as quickly as we can. Unfortunately, again, the weather has softened many of our roads here, but we're working to do our best to get those repaired as soon as we can, get a break in the weather, so to speak. In progress right now, we do have construction bids for the new train station. They were projected to go out this month, but got delayed. We do anticipate those bids going out in March with planned construction to start this year. We are closely monitoring the progress of that and working with PennDOT and Amtrak, the City Council, and everything is moving forward. I want to mention the members of the RDA and the Coatesville Development Team. They continue to work with PennDOT and Amtrak to move this project forward. We are looking ahead, and we're very excited about the progress of our new train station. As many of you know, a couple of weeks ago, we had a hiring event with Urban Outfitters. The event was a positive start in the right direction to fill over 200 positions at Urban. We were fortunate to get 80 plus, maybe close to 90 positions filled. There are still individuals that are applying online for positions at Urban Outfitters. We encourage you, if there's any job seekers out there or anyone that know of anyone looking for a job, Urban Outfitters is still looking. We plan to host another hiring event sometime next month or early April. And this is just we talked about a workforce development pipeline. I think this is the beginning of it. We're starting to see, individuals in this community get excited about job opportunities. We're going to be working with a number of organizations to make that happen as well. Because of the Urban Outfitters hiring event, we've experienced, or we're beginning to experience, a ripple effect. That effect is basically sparking other employers that are interested in our region, in our city. I was contacted this month and informed of 2 employers that are interested in partnering with the city to host hiring events for their companies. So right there, that's evident that we have talented people here in this community. We can get them connected to the right employers, and hopefully they can get in there and put their best foot forward to land that job and to keep that job. All of this falls in line with our vision to create a workforce pipeline here in the city. And those particular individuals that have been asking for employment opportunities to come to the city, now we're finally breaking the ice and making that happen. Soon I'll be working with training providers like OIC, CYI, CYWA, and the Career Link to establish training sites throughout the Coatesville area. We are talking about maybe training pods, if you will, because we believe that there are pockets of Coatesville that people may not always want to come out or come from. And we believe that if they don't want to come out, then we got to go to them. So we are going to be working with some of the organizations I just mentioned to get these training pods in these areas for people who just want to get some tools to be a better interviewer or job seeker, or for individuals who are just trying to upskill themselves so that they can advance in their careers. So we're very excited about those 2 workforce development areas. The last thing I have, and I'm just going to hit up on it lightly, I think our assistant city manager has some comments on it, is we are continuing to monitor our COVID cases. Even though some of the county numbers are dropping, our numbers are still climbing. And right now we're at 924 cases. Of course, the country, as you all have been listening to the news, we have hit that 500,000 mark, which is very unfortunate. But there is some hope on the horizon with vaccinations, and we are working with the county and the commissioners and the health department to identify vaccination centers in Coatesville. And I think in the coming weeks, we'll have some news on where those locations are going to be. Last but not least, and this is kind of a nice little note to end on. But this past Saturday, the Parks and Rec Committee and the City of Coatesville hosted its 3rd annual Black History Month pancake and book reading. Now, of course, we didn't have the pancakes.
Yeah, okay, I was going to correct you.
I think some of our council members did, but some of our viewers, they kind of, got into the spirit of recognizing Black culture, Black History Month, and it was a huge success. I want members and volunteers that supported this Black History Month recognition and book reading. We had a small group, but a wonderful turnout via Zoom, featuring some of our future leaders ranging from the age of 4 to 60. And there were 3 rising children's stars that read their favorite books by African American authors. And I want to thank those parents for sharing your talented children last night. We really do appreciate it. Special thanks to Jenny Livingston for introducing the audience to, and make sure I get this right, Uncle Every Little Ting. Jenny, thank you very much for bringing smiles to the kids. Also, thanks to James Bookman, the Parks and Rec Chair, and Fred Sharp, the Parks and Rec Co-Chair, for their time and moving this event smoothly. That concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Houston, please.
Thank you. I'll follow right on the heels of Mr. Logan. I'll start with the COVID update. As you noted, Coatesville is still rising. We have 47 new cases, up from 2 weeks ago. I am sorry to report that we now have death toll of 12. We did have one more addition those last 2 weeks. Countywide, there are 27,700 or so positive cases with 697 deaths. 205. What's that? Sorry, Ms. Green. Sorry.
I was just reacting. I'm sorry.
It is a reaction. I mean, we've almost got 700 deaths here in Chester County. So
yeah.
205 tests have been performed out of a population of just over 500,000 in Chester County. The county as a whole has administered 37,000 first vaccines and 18,000 second vaccines. Obviously, the weather has played a part. Slowing down deliveries has shut down some of the vaccine days and times. So it has played a little bit of a havoc over the last 2 weeks with the COVID numbers. There is promising news. As Mr. Logan says, cases are dropping overall in numbers throughout the county, actually throughout the United States. Hospitalizations in Chester County are on an average 30% lower than 2 weeks ago. We had 90 people in the hospital. Today, we only had 60. So we have seen a drop in the hospitalizations. People on ventilators have been cut from 14 to 7. So there are less people now using ventilators within our hospital systems in Chester County. So that's good news as well. As Mr. Logan also noted, the county health department is still looking for locations. There are a couple on their list. We won't talk about them yet until they actually finalize agreements, but we should have some places here in Coatesville or within the school district very soon that we can start having some signups and get people out for those soon as well. Especially those of us in the 1A category. We might be able to get a chance to catch up right there. Chairman Norris, get that 1A category. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, on other things outside of COVID, the Millview Basin, the planning work continues. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. The repair and rebuild of the retention pond up there at Millview off of Glencrest Road. We are working with Valley Township. Scott Pearsall, the township manager, Mr. Logan and I and our engineers are working on a partnership agreement that will fund the work and correct the issues. We currently have a Growing Greener grant from the Pennsylvania Department of the Environmental Protection for a good portion of the funds. There is still some more needed, so we are talking to Chester County Department of Community and Economic Development, Mr. Bakovitz's group, about a possible grant to help get the project completed. We will be meeting with Valley again later this week as we hammer out the parameters for an agreement between us, and then we'll bring it to you all as that agreement gets closer to being finalized. A fire department report, talked to the chief today. They had 2 major call outs this past week, both residential fires. One was up on Community Lane that was resulted from an unattended candle. I reminded my daughter who burns her vanilla candle every night, let's put that candle out when you go to bed or when you leave the room. And then one at the high rise on 300 block of Lincoln that was due to the improper use of a microwave oven. There was still metal left in the microwave. So when they fired it up, it sparked and caused the fire in that case. All residents are fine. They are staying with family and friends and have been, they're in placement right now. So good news. Bad news is the damage. Good news is that no one was hurt in the fire, and all the fire team also came out okay. From the Codes Department, Codes Department, we had 2 zoning requests were filed, and we'll go under zoning review here shortly. A small residential construction plan was presented to the staff for feedback by a proposed builder. We've reviewed it, we've looked at it and told them that they need to forward their final plans or their next plans from the engineer to us for LTL to look for a zoning application. So they're working on that. We've had 2 zoning denials this past week. Both were applications for building conversions to multifamily homes. We expect one of them to probably file an appeal. So zoning will deal with that and planning commission will handle that as well. Other things, we've had 2 building permits issued, 1 mechanical permit, 2 plumbing permits, 15 contractors paid the registrations, 24 rental licenses were paid for, 2 vacant property registrations were paid for. Codes issued 10 warnings for snow on the sidewalks. All have been cleared. And there was 1 trash warning. From Public Works, and I got to tell you, the guys have been challenged. This has been a very interesting month. And we did get, I just saw it on YouTube a minute ago, one of our residents commended the city on the removal of snow today. They got out as early as they could, but it just kept coming. And it was a very interesting morning to be a snow removal. They put in 40 hours overtime over the last 2 weeks, including President's Day holiday. We used over 130 tons of salt in 2 weeks. And we just got another 100 in. So we're ready to go just in case, hopefully not. If practice makes progress, this was one of my daughter's things. If practice makes progress, then we're getting there because the team has had plenty of practice over the last few weeks. It did affect Eagle disposal. So none of those residents, Mr. Folks, you know, you've heard from your end of the ward. That's the hill up there, and Councilman Norris, you know as well, getting up the two slopes. So Eagle has had to be flexible, and they've been able to make up most of the ground. They did pull again today because of the snow. They will get on it tomorrow morning early. Their plan is to have everybody back in line and done by Wednesday afternoon. So we'll be back on path for the Thursday pickups, and we shouldn't have any problems at all. The second thing that caused it, and Councilman Folks mentioned it, was that PICO didn't exactly give the city sufficient notice to know that they were coming and putting in new poles as well. So we couldn't alert the police. We didn't get out to the community. We didn't put it on our Facebook page. So PICO has agreed to notify us in the future of any replacement projects so that we can also notify the residents. Our police did go door to door to alert the residents. However, no cars were ticketed or towed. PICO says they don't do that. So that's fine. They did apologize and promised to work with us in the future. So that is my report for this evening. Any questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Houston, I do have a question. You were saying the COVID hospitalizations are down, but they are sending people to Reading. Is there a reason for that? Is there a reason why they're sending them to Reading Hospital?
I do not know. I don't know the reason for that. I was simply reading off of what the most recent county report was, talking about the numbers going down. I haven't seen any reference to Reading, but I will look into it for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Mr. Troutman.
Madam President and Council, I have a few points to make this evening on the finances. I'll start with the 2 schedules, the one for the ending of 2020 and the other is January 2021. Both are, to be perfectly clear, unaudited. We're not final yet. We're getting close, but we're not there yet. But both are very favorable, and I would suggest that it's consistent with the comments that we've been making over the last couple of months about some of the positive events that are both one-timers and also structural improvements. So with that, specifically for 2020, we have a net surplus that we're projecting, and I'll just say it again because it sounds so nice. We didn't need to draw down on the reserves.
That does sound good.
Yeah, so I mean, we can all say it as often as we want right now and feel good about it. The solid waste is looking to end the year at a small surplus. Capital reserve was just, frankly, everything stalled because of COVID. So we didn't get any progress in the city from infrastructure. We didn't have expenditures. We didn't have to fund costs. So it just was stagnant, and we lost a year on that front. And then liquid fuels, we ended with a nice surplus. And it was almost exclusively due to low expenses last year. And so now we'll transition into the beginning of 2021. It's obviously very early, being January, but we continue to see one-time events that are favorable. And we're also seeing some timing differences that just because January, February, it is a little bit of time in between the months, but as a general rule, it's favorable. I want to reinforce a message about the way the city is growing and rowing together. And that literal wording is compliments of Mr. Logan earlier today. But and I'm going to highlight a couple of things that are happening. First, some of the things that started last year, we're doing again this year. So there's some traction and there's some good things happening from that. And the things I'm talking about are geared toward holding everyone accountable and consistent application for what's happening. And we now have the staff that's working toward those goals. And I think that's important that people hear how it's translating into the consistency of results. So we have those types of things that we started last year that hadn't been done for a while. And so they're continuing into this year. And then there's some new ones that are happening that Mr. Logan, Mr. Hudson, Mr. Dobson, they're on the operational side, they're making a difference by pursuing the delinquent rental licenses, pursuing business licenses tied to rental owners. They're pursuing fire inspections and amusement device licenses. These are initiatives that were identified, again, to be consistent, but they also have value to the residents for the safety. And so there's a broader perspective as to why it's being done, but it's servicing the residents well. And then there's a new one that started last week that we're starting to look at the size of the delinquent taxes, real estate taxes and solid waste delinquencies to see if we can identify some strategies to help hold accountable, but target solutions when they're 1 year delinquent, literally 60 days at this point, as opposed to getting to be 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then it becomes an insurmountable or hard mountain to climb to get it solved. So that initiative starting right now with a few of us to see what kind of strategies we can work with to help. And then I would comment, this is audit season, so we are busy closing out the year, starting the year, preparing for the different audits, doing the filings, those types of things. And we're well positioned to keep it simple. And then lastly, you heard earlier about the Urban Outfitters. I just want to help tangibilize the impact. I think we can all appreciate how important that is to every individual family. And that's the most important part of the message, to reinforce that. But based on the results, it's probably over $2 million worth of economic impact to the city.
Wow.
So from a macro standpoint, I just want to give you that number to put it into a little bit of perspective, but I don't want to take away from the meaning that has to each individual family that has gained employment. So with that, unless there's questions, that's my report.
Are there any questions from council?
Thank you, Mr. Troutman.
Yeah, you're quite welcome.
Good
Thank
job.
you, sir.
Yeah, good job, Mr. Troutman. Thank you.
Well, it's a good team.
Citizens hearings, non-agenda items. Do we have any?
No, well, there was only one question: who benefits from the solar farm?
Logan?
Oh, sorry. Well, in terms of who benefits from it, it's the lease agreement. So the city will benefit from that particular agreement itself. One of the things that we will be looking at with Trina is a program called Community Solar. And we hope once we continue down the relationship path with them, that we will be able to benefit from that program, which helps the city reduce its energy cost. So there may be some opportunities where I don't know exactly if we can pass them on or if they will be passed on to the community, but what we're doing is we are reducing or will be reducing our energy use footprint in the entire city of Coatesville. So I think that's something that we're very excited about, and we're looking to learn more about that, how that's going to work. Thanks for the question.
Just Ruthann, could you make note of the name of the person, because we do, when we have comment, we do want to know who's commenting and an address from when they're coming. So please make note of that.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was Wendy Whitaker.
Okay, thank you, love.
And it looks like in our chat we have a name and address too. That question did already get answered, but I don't know if they're still here. I do see a name and address in the chat though.
Yeah, we recorded that one. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the finance. That's no minutes, no special events. On to council comments.
We need to close.
We certainly do. I'm sorry.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Poll council, please. And I'm asking because there were no comments. Just poll council.
Yes. Councilman Folks?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Alameen?
Yes.
Councilperson Graves?
Yes.
Councilwoman Green?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender Norris?
Yes.
So carries. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Folks, your comment, please.
Oh, God. How you doing out there? Mr. Logan was talking about the job fair, and I have got requests from 3 companies. They wonder when the next one is so they could come here. I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and once again to the residents of the 2nd Ward with the pole, the trash. I understand. I feel you. It will be resolved, and you heard about next time when they're replacing poles, we will have notification earlier. So I'm glad that I got the phone calls. I was out there when the poles were going up, and I stayed there for 2 days to make sure nobody's car was moved. I knocked on doors and got cars moved. So, and we had a place for them to park down on 3rd Avenue and down at City Hall. So I think we did a pretty good job at that. Just be mindful of the roads when you go out. They're icy. Take your time. You know, it's better to get there in one piece instead of early, because it's bad out there. If nobody told you today that you were somebody,
All right.
you are somebody. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that? Councilperson Gray?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for watching and attending on Zoom, on YouTube, and the folks who are going to rewatch this from home. I just want to send heartfelt messages out to Texas. Really, with climate change, it doesn't matter if you live in a blue state or a red state or a swing state, because in Texas, we had a major infrastructure failure, snowstorms. But in the summer, we'll have fires in California, the bluest of blue. And we had constant snowstorms in a swing state like Pennsylvania. And so we are a collective, and the actions of all of us affect all of us. That's how community collectivity is. And that's just like human nature. I did notice last week that folks were really excited about some readings from Black history, a poem that I read from Black history. So I wanted to read one today and just keep it brief, but this is from the book called Black Power Revolt. It was produced in the 1968. So this was like around the time of the Civil Rights era when this book was published. You can see it's very old. And it's actually a sociology textbook from the time, but this excerpt comes from Stokely Carmichael or Kwame Ture, as he was known later in life. And so I just wanted to share this excerpt. One of the tragedies of the struggle against racism is that up till now, there has been no organization which could speak to the growing militancy of young Black people in the urban ghetto. There has only been a civil rights movement whose tone of voice was adapted to the audience of the white liberal. It served as a sort of buffer zone between them and the angry young Blacks. None of the so-called leaders could go into a rioting community and be listened to. In a sense, I blame ourselves with the mass media for what has happened in Watts, Harlem, Chicago, Cleveland, Omaha. Each time the people in those cities saw Martin Luther King get slapped, they became angrier. When they saw 4 little Black girls get bombed to death, they were angrier. When when nothing happened, they were steaming. We had nothing to offer that they could expect, except we would go out and get beaten again. We helped build their frustration. For too many years, Black Americans marched and had their heads broken and shot. They were saying to the country, look, you guys are supposed to be nice guys. And what we are going to do is be nice guys too. Why do you beat us up? Why do you not give us what we ask? Why do you have to straighten us out? After years of this, we are almost at the same point because we demonstrated a position of weakness. We can no longer march and have our heads broken in order to say, come on, guys, you are supposed to be nice guys. Thank you.
Very nice.
Sure.
And good night for everybody.
Councilwoman Hunt.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. It's always great to have you on with us and share as well as give comments. I just want to again acknowledge our great staff. I want to give special thanks to our road crew. They have been extremely busy and efficient in doing what they can to make sure that our roads were clear and that we can travel safe. I want to give thanks to Mr. Logan as well for the leadership that he is presenting to us as a council, as well as to the city. Your hard work, your ideas, your thinking out of the box to make things happen for the city, and it's proven that you are a true leader. And I always say that you can tell a leader by the fruit that grows. So we're grateful for that. To our chief, again, thank you for the fine job that you do with our officers and in the community. As always, Mr. Burway, Mr. Houston, all of you guys, you're doing such a great job, and I'm thankful for all of that. I want to thank my colleagues for your endurance, the way that we try to come together and for the city. So I just want to thank you guys for that. Everyone be safe. I want to thank all of you again for the condolences you sent to me when my brother passed, and many of you know that very week my first cousin passed right behind my brother, and but you guys, you came through. The flowers were beautiful, and I thank you for that, and always the prayers that you send up for Emmett. He's actually in our public meeting tonight. He's not saying it, but he's sitting.
Hey, Emmett.
Everybody said hi, Emmett.
Hey, Emmett.
Seven, brother.
Yeah, he said I'll sit through the public meeting tonight. I said great, so I brought the laptop upstairs so he could be a part of it. But again, I just want to thank everyone, and please be safe out there, not only from the COVID, but from the conditions on the roads, the side streets, and as you're traveling. God bless everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mrs. Hunt.
Thank you.
Still looking for that fish sandwich.
Oh, I stopped cooking. No.
Look, lies.
Hey, Madam President. Madam President.
Yes, sir.
I forgot to say something about the girls on the avenue. Could I say that real quick?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this Alan's on first. Doing a tremendous job in this community. This Saturday coming, they'll be on Channel 6 about their business. That's big for the city. And it started by a picture.
Wow.
And now it went to Channel 6 Action News. So if we can build up our businesses and the news people come to our town instead of a murder or a fire, they're coming for a Black-owned business. That does tremendous for this city. Just a little pizza place. So thank you to the Allen girls. I can't wait till the spring so we can do the ribbon cutting. So things are in place, and congratulations once again for being on Channel 6 Action News this Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Councilwoman Alameen.
I just want to thank everybody that attended tonight via the regular meeting, via YouTube. I hope everybody continues to be safe. Unfortunately, our numbers in Coatesville, we still have cases, as our assistant city manager said, Mr. Houston. So I hope everybody continues to wear the mask, social distance, be safe with the weather as well. And I just hope everybody has a good night.
Thank you. Councilwoman Green.
I'm going to be brief. I just want to thank everyone for coming out. It's just always well to know what's going on in the city, and I get excited when the residents are tuning in. I just want to thank all of my colleagues for all their work and commitment and dedication. You know, we may not always agree, but we all have the same end game, I hope, and that is for the betterment and the advancement of the city of Coatesville. So I thank you all, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate all of our staff, and I just want to say thank you. Be safe from COVID, be safe from the weather. Just take care. Life is so short. So many things have been going on in our community. So we just got to hang on and just continue to have hope and know that God is always in control. Mr. Logan, I do want to just thank you for Parks and Rec, and everyone for coming out and having that event virtual. I enjoyed myself on Saturday. I was a little down on Saturday, and I tuned in, and my spirits were lifted, and I just thank you for that.
Good, good.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to echo my colleagues in our gratefulness, thankfulness for all our administration, our emergency services, my colleagues. I'm just grateful, that we today had another opportunity to move the city forward, to make decisions that have lasting effect. I'm grateful that we can do this from an informed standpoint. We can make our decisions without assumptions. We're actually making strong, informed decisions. You may not agree with how our decisions are. However, trust us. Ooh, who felt like
Sorry. Sorry.
felt like MASH? But anyway, as long as we're working together, we'll do better by the grace of God. Everybody just continue, to look up, see the positive. When somebody says don't accept it, find a way to make it happen, because that's who we are, the resilience of the city of Coatesville moving forward. So thank you so much. God bless you all. Be safe and have a wonderful evening. Could I get a motion to close?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Y'all don't want to close?
I'll second.
Full council, please.
Councilwoman Green,
She's muted.
Councilperson Graves,
Yes.
Councilwoman Green,
Yes, I couldn't unmute.
Councilwoman
So
Alamy,
yes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt,
Yes.
Councilman Folks,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lavender Norris.
Yes.
Thank you all. So carries.
Thank you.
That's Corman.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
Bless
Good
you
night.
too.
Thank you, everyone.